Hello friend, Kris Simpson here, author of the Amazon #1 bestseller, The All-Inclusive Diet, and I help people cultivate energy, restore balance, and keep the weight off. Our question today, what should you eat pre and post workout? A really important question for those that are working out right now or highly active, maybe playing sports, maybe involved in recreation, and also for the person that is thinking about getting back into the gym, or maybe he's never worked out before a day in their life and really wants to experience that, or maybe wants to reunite the old spark of getting into a sport or maybe some recreation. So for the beginner to the intermediate to the advanced, it's going to be important to think about your pre and post workout fuel, because we need energy to fuel the fight for any type of activity, especially if it's going to be intense and strenuous. And the other thing is we're going to need food and fuel for the recovery process. You know, that's just as important. In fact, I think it's even more important, the recovery process that happens outside of the gym or outside of the arena, because that's where we prepare for the next sporting event or for the next workout. So if we're not prepared, then we're just not going to have the performance we're looking for on the next event or the next workout. So it's those two things. It's the E and the R. It's the energy and the recovery. It's the ER. You want to stay out of the ER. You need the energy and you need to recover from your workouts. And it is food that we're looking for, and food in a simple way, and also food in a more scientific way. And I'm going to answer this question on a two-pronged approach. I'm going to keep it simple like I always do, and this would be for the beginner. This would be for the person that is thinking about getting back in the gym or never been in the gym before, and also for the person that's highly active right now and maybe been working out for years like myself. Then I want to give you some science, something to chew on that's a little bit more substantial. It's got a little bit more substance to it, and a lot of this is going to be review for you. But I really hope that it sparks some new interest in this really important subject. So how important is the fuel? Well, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in the gym or maybe doing something really, really strenuous and found that you maybe didn't eat well that day, maybe you didn't eat anything that day, and you have these symptoms? You feel nauseous. You feel dizzy, you feel extremely lethargic, you've got a lot of profuse sweating going on, you've got a highly rapid heart rate that sometimes feels like your heart's going to explode, and you feel sick to your stomach, and you can't continue with the activity. You have to stop, you have to get your bearings, even if you haven't fell on the floor at that point. And if you've ever felt that, we call that hypoglycemia, and it's low blood sugar. And for anyone that's familiar with diabetes, then you'll know that, in a diabetic, it's critical. It's really life and death, controlling their blood sugar. And the best way to explain it is graphically, just so you know what ends up happening when you do engage in any type of strenuous activity or exercise, maybe it at the gym, or if it's at the sporting arena, or even, outdoor recreation, work around the house for that matter, if it's strenuous, you're going to have a fluctuation in your blood sugar. So if we could say that this blood sugar could be represented in this really simple graph, and say that blood sugar at 100% to 0% and a baseline in the middle of 50%, which would be the optimum, where our blood sugar is not too high and it's not too low. We know that when we have low blood sugar or hypoglycemia, we're going to have all those nasty symptoms. And I remember being a personal trainer at a young age when I first got into this business. This was years ago, and I was a very aggressive trainer. I didn't have too much compassion. I was all go, go, go. And a lot of people weren't eating properly, and they just didn't have the proper nutrition to perform at the level that I was asking them to. And a lot of them didn't make it through the session. A lot of them ended up having these low blood sugar symptoms. We'd have to stop. And there used to be a running joke at the fitness club that I started. Whenever we saw a trainer going out with this drink, it was like a Gatorade. We called it All Sport. And it's just like a high sugar type drink for athletes. And whenever we saw that going out on the floor, we know that somebody was on the floor, a client was on the floor, probably wasn't getting up, just because they were having those symptoms of low blood sugar. So all jokes aside, we really needed to focus on feeding our clients before they worked out and the nutrition behind it if we expected them to perform at that level. So if you've ever felt like that, then this is exactly what's happening. Your blood sugar plummets whenever we engage in any type of activity, and the more strenuous and intense that it is, the more drastic of that sharp curve downward will be. And it happens almost immediately, and it's just the body's reaction to a stressful situation, which usually exercise is just that. And it can be mitigated as long as we have enough blood sugar counts going into the workout so that when we do experience this dive, that it doesn't go down to what I call the basement, which is down here at the bottom, and this is where we go into, again, hypoglycemia. Now, that doesn't mean that we would want to overfeed ourselves and have too much blood sugar, which would be represented up here. We could call that hyperglycemia, or high levels of blood sugar, which also has negative effects. Most of us won't get there, and it's better off to start, perhaps here, if I could just simplify this here, not using medical terms, but just 75% of the maximum threshold of your blood sugar, which really represents the energy that you're going to need for the exercise. If we start off a little bit higher, then we know when we take the dive that maybe we'll keep at baseline and have enough sustained energy to complete the workout, because that's really what we want. And we don't want to have this deficit, because then we're going to have a longer recovery curve as well. And that's what it's all about. It's about the energy during the workout and the recovery after. So that's what's happening physiologically to us. And that also affects us mentally as well. If we're not energized, we're not going to be motivated psychologically neither to get into the workout in the first place. So it's really important also to be fueled properly, just so that you have enough get up and go to get into the gym and get active. Now, I'm not being facetious here, okay? Of course, we know food is going to be involved in what to eat pre and post workout, but hold on a second. For the beginners that are out there, for the people that have perhaps taken some time off of the gym or thinking about going back in the gym or back to a sport or an activity, I really want to ask you a question before perhaps you look at the science. I want you to keep it simple and just look at what food is required on an everyday basis, which really would cancel out any of the complications that you would ever have with your blood sugar and activity. Meaning that if you're eating regularly, if you're eating 3 square meals a day, or whatever is consistent for you and whatever works for you, whatever keeps you energized throughout the day, then really any other problems in the gym as far as low blood sugar and low energy and low or longer recovery just won't happen. You can take care of it just by eating properly. So if you're not eating properly, if you're not eating 3 square meals a day, and if you are having low periods, perhaps in the afternoon, low energy, and you're really having not enough energy to create the motivation it would take to get into the gym, then I really want you to keep it simple and just focus on your diet. And bring a lunch to work and make sure that you have breakfast. Because if those things are happening and you're eating every 3 or 4 or 5 hours, and if there's a workout, some activity in between that, then you won't have any of these low blood sugar symptoms, and you won't need to worry about not having enough energy for the gym. So first and foremost, you just need to eat. You need to eat regularly. You need to eat consistently. This stuff over here, this really simple element that we are comprised of, at least 60 to 70% of the human body anyways, is vital. It is critical. But most of the people that I help are chronically dehydrated. The third thing that I want you to consider is letting it go. Letting go of the logistics, letting go of all of the confusion and the complications that a lot of times we as human beings bring into situations. If you're just a person that is looking to shape up, to lose some weight, to get fit, to get active, you're not expecting to be the next Olympic athlete, when it comes down to it, if it's a really simple game for you and a simple outcome, then you don't really need to get into all the logistics. You need to let all of that go. You don't need to be on Google and reading magazines and books and trying to find out the latest science and the supplements of human performance. You really don't need to go that deep with it. You can keep it surface level and get all the results that you need. In fact, if you find that you're really confused about the nutrition and the workout, the food and the fitness, and that's really stalling you out, it's stalling you from getting into the gym, then you really need to let that go. Because once you get into the gym, you're going to figure all that out. And a lot of times, and I've even found myself doing this as well, is we purposely, okay, maybe not consciously, but definitely subconsciously, we trick ourselves in all of the logistics and the confusion of trying to understand something completely before we even set out to do it. And this is why it's so important to take that first step, to get into the gym, right? Or pick up that sport bag and get involved with the team and make it to the first practice. Just get there, because once you get there, you're going to start figuring things out. You're going to figure out what to eat before and what to eat after and when to eat it. All of these variables will all be defined just by trial and error. You don't need to know everything before you get started. You only need to get started. And that's the greatest gift that I can give you with this question here of what to eat before and after workout, or any questions fitness, food related, is just start eating. Just start working out. Just get that process started. Start logging it, start looking at it, start focusing on it, and everything else will work itself out. I promise you that. So for the more advanced people, the intermediates, and also the advanced fitness level, people that have been working out for a while, or playing sports or recreation for some time now, I want to give you a little bit more science. And the first variable is going to be timing. Timing is important. For me, I need to have a meal about 30 minutes before I work out. If I don't, by the end of the workout, I'm feeling fatigued. And the sign of a good workout for me is not me being all crumpled and banged up on the floor and completely exhausted. I actually want to have a little bit more energy at the end of the session to know that I properly fueled myself. So yeah, if you're thinking that you need to burn yourself into the ground with a really intense and hard workout, that's not the case. You should still have some energy stores at the end of the workout, and that just tells you that, hey, I've fueled myself properly. In the window of opportunity, as I call it, which typically is anywhere from 30 minutes to maximum 3 hours, you should be eating prior to the workout. Okay, now that's a long span of time. And this is where the trial and error and the experimental process that you have to start commences. You need to perhaps go in the middle and have your meal maybe an hour and a half before your workout. And how do you feel, right? Was maybe an hour and a half not long enough, and you had some digestive problems. You had some indigestion, for example. The food didn't have enough time to digest. Or perhaps you're fatigued at the end of the workout. Perhaps you're fatigued even before you get started, which would be the case with me because I'm way over here. Now, the same thing applies to timing post-workout as well. It's still going to be that window of opportunity where you have the best ability to replenish the fuel stores, okay, the muscle glycogen, to prepare for the next workout. The body's very responsive after intense exercise, and it acts like a sponge. It just soaks everything up. So this is the best opportunity to refuel yourself and not really worry too much, as long as you don't overeat, of the spillover effect, okay, in regards to eating too many calories and having those calories stored as fat. The body is, again, very adaptable to a lot of different calories and different types of foods at the point where it's been exercised, because it's really trying to compensate for everything that is lost and bring everything back, because it wants to prepare you for the next time. It assumes there will be a next time, and hopefully there will be a next time for you. Another workout, that is. So timing is the first thing. The second thing is the 2-to-1 ratio. So we have nutrients coming in macros, and there's 3 of them, okay? There's protein, fats, and carbohydrates. These are the macronutrients of all foods. So 2 to 1 is a ratio of carbohydrate and protein. And it's 2 carbs to 1 protein. Now, why is this? Well, we know that carbohydrates is the top fuel choice for the body. It's like the premium, the super plus unleaded. It's got a great burn to it. It's a fast burner, and especially with fast burning carbohydrates, it can give you that immediate energy that the body always goes to from the get-go. Now, it will burn other types of macros. It will burn fat, it will burn protein, but it prefers to burn carbohydrates if especially the energy requirement is quite high. So that's why typically we always look for 2-part carbohydrates and only 1-part protein. Now, why the protein? Well, we need to balance the blood sugar, and that's what protein does. When we eat protein, it takes longer to digest, so therefore it slows down the digestive process. So therefore we don't have these spikes in blood sugar, these peaks and valleys. And when we get in the valley, that's where we're lethargic, and when we're up here, that's where we are on some sort of a rush or a high, but there's always the downside, right, which is the plummet to the bottom, and that's the crash, and we want to avoid that. So stable blood sugars is really what we're looking for, and that's what protein does. And it also helps us recover from the workout. When we work out, when we physically exercise our body in any which way, especially if it's intense, there's micro trauma to the body, the micro trauma to the muscles, and they need to be repaired, and that's where protein comes in. It's really the recovery agent that is necessary. The element of recovery that's really important always comes from protein. So that's 2 to 1 ratio of carbs and protein. Now, what kind of carbs and proteins? Let me give you some examples here. Fruit is one of the easiest things that we can focus on when it comes to carbohydrate. It comes in its own wrapper. If you've perhaps missed lunch and you've got a workout plan for after work, then you can bring this in your bag and you'll have probably enough energy to get through the workout if you have a piece of fruit or a couple pieces of fruit before you work out. So I can't say enough about having fruits and vegetables, period, but especially fruits for a pre-workout or even post-workout to replenish the glycogen and your blood sugar. This is probably the best way of doing it. As far as the protein goes, we've got some different ways of doing that. Protein's always a lot more challenging to come by, to source, as far as finding the best sources for us, the leanest sources. But egg whites and also tuna, and combining that with things like crackers, for example, or rice cakes is my favorite. And for those people that are on the go, maybe missed a meal, don't want to miss a workout, well, you can always take something like this to go, trail mix. This stuff is good for the wilderness. You can go probably in the wilderness for a week or so with a bag of this stuff and have enough food out there for survival. So really dense in calories. There is a high portion of the macro fat in there as well, which really drives the calories up. This is a half a cup and it's about 350 calories approximately. So, that could constitute a meal for somebody or a snack for myself, but it's great fuel. It's fast fuel, especially because it's got dried fruit in it. So if you've missed a meal and you want to snack pre-workout or you just want to replenish after for recovery, this is a great way of doing it as well. Now, there's also supplements that you could look at, and some of the ones that I occasionally use, I always choose whole food first, but life ain't perfect. Right? So when life ain't perfect and you haven't prepared yourself and you don't want to miss that workout and you've missed a meal, then this could be the supplement to that, to add perhaps one of these. This is a Daryl's bar and it's all natural. It doesn't have any artificial preservatives or sweeteners, which I really try to avoid. You need to refrigerate it. So, if you brought your car with you in the summertime, you'd have to keep it chilled. Very unlike this bar over here, okay, a pure protein. I love these bars, they're tasty, but they do have a lot of artificial sweeteners and preservatives and things that I try to avoid, and I'd like you to try to avoid them as well. So in the worst case scenario, I figured that this is the lesser of two evils. if you had to make a decision on not going to the gym that day or eating one of these. I want to see you in the gym. So have one of these protein bars to make sure you get there and make sure you have some energy while you're there and you can recover from the workout afterwards. Something else that I do rely on is protein powder. And again, I'm all about the whole food. So although this is processed, it has been modified slightly. It's all coming from vegetable sources. As you can see here, it's a vegetable protein. And it does have some carbohydrates in it as well, so it could be a meal replacement, not quite the 2-to-1 ratio, so you might want to mix a banana with it, or maybe you want to mix in some juice, maybe juice and water combination, or maybe even you'd want to put in some soy milk, or I like almond milk, right? Low in calories, and it's got about a 1-to-1 ratio of carb and protein, but it's a great thing to mix with. And please comment below if you have any questions or comments. Love to speak to you. I love to keep in touch with people. This is really what it's all about for me, is answering your questions. So if you have questions, perhaps I can choose them for the next video. Please just comment below and make sure you share this post. And before I sign off, friend, I've got some free downloads for you. Just click the link below if you're interested in health, fitness, and wellness downloads, plus a downloadable copy of my Amazon #1 bestseller, The All-Inclusive Diet. So be sure to click the link below, just put your name and email in it, and I'll get those downloads out right to you. Until the next time, my friend, I hope to see you in the gym. Have some fuel for the fight, recover afterwards for another day. Inspire to aspire.